So we got a very special episode this week. We are doing an Ask Us Anything. We got some great questions that we're going to run through. But also, I think Matt's feeling pretty snacky as we roll up on 11 a.m. here. So we're going to start off with the Jerky review. This is one that he got from his Jerky subscription service, and is it called Minimal Snack?
Minimal Snack. And again, thank you, Sam. Mm-hmm. Whole muscle, like salt, vinegar, red wine, rosemary.
Plot twist, it's Mussel, and it's those kind of types of mussels.
Right. Yeah, made in the USA. It's keto verified. Project verified. That sounds exciting. I don't know what that is.
You probably pay a small amount of money to get that stamped on there.
Right, because
shiitake air dried beef.
I wondered what that meant. Yeah.
Because shiitake is not a type of beef, so it's like maybe
seasoned with shiitake, or it's dried in shiitake air.
Right, there's just a shiitake mushroom in the room.
Yeah.
in the dryer.
Yeah. It does have like a first off, props for texture. This is like I like a good,
Not bad. Yeah.
tough, chewy. Doesn't melt in your mouth or in your hand.
It could be a little more crispy for me, but
I just burnt the crap out of my tongue on some coffee that was brewed in the fires of Mordor. But with that being said, the flavor is good. I would probably need to revisit this when I didn't feel like my tongue was bleeding.
With a whole tongue.
well, you can totally revisit this one. The rest of that pack.
No, right here, shiitake powder, shiitake extract, and starch, salt, and rosemary.
Matt doesn't like mushrooms, so there you go.
You sure don't want to go off the.
I'm-
Yeah, I'm not. I don't love it. I'm not saying I hate it, but I don't love it.
It does have an interesting aftertaste. Now this one, 3 Alarm Overland, Bobby Anderson, that little collaborative project here.
We're going 2 in 1 here? We're going 2 in 1?
We are, because we
have got a box. Yeah,
we've got a lot.
What a day.
Bobby,
What a day.
Bobby sent us a bunch from the fine folks at 3 Alarm Overland. And speaking of 3 Alarm Overland, we have a coffee kit that floats around between my truck, Logan's truck, the studio. That is the next bag we're cracking into. When we received that, we were like pretty deep in the coffee already, so we've been making our way through it. But that's next in the lineup.
Here's what
The 3 Alarm coffee.
3 Alarm coffee.
So
Same guys.
yeah, we must say though we have been sampling this since it showed up. What was the one that we had in the office the other day?
This is it.
No, 3 Alarm, but it was
Oh, this is the black pepper.
yeah, there was
Cracked pepper.
what was the Mexican
Oh, the carne asada?
carne asada? That was fantastic. Like
I didn't try that.
yeah, blame somebody whose name starts with Cam and ends with he's not in this room.
Yeah, so this is cracked black pepper 3 Alarm Overland, made in the USA. So it shouldn't be a tariff crisis on this one. Ingredients: beef, gluten-free, something sauce, water, soybean, salt, sugar, water, brown sugar, lemon juice, hickory smoke, natural hickory smoke flavor, garlic powder, contains soy.
There's a lot in that isn't black pepper.
Yeah,
There's
but
something called black pepper.
it's got a good like flavor palette, and it lets me know my tongue's not that burnt. Just that
Right.
it's a little funky.
Yeah.
There is something a little
It's the mushroom.
different. Yeah,
It's the shiitake was.
yeah.
Never trust anything that grows in shit in the dark. I'm just saying. It's out of my mouth there.
So we asked you guys at the end of last episode and on Instagram to ask us any questions that were burning, desire.
burning questions. That's what's.
Yeah.
Also known on the internet as an Ask Me Anything.
Ask me anything, but it was ask us anything. Yeah.
Oh.
And we got some good ones. So I'll start with. Also, a few people did not understand the assignment, but let's start with some of the ones that did. So, any plans for a larger size duffel to handle the larger cubes? This can be a quick one because, in fact, we don't have to build a large size duffel. Our 10 by 10 or our 12 by 12 packing cubes fit in the duffel bag because the end of the duffel bag is essentially 12 by 12, right? Like the end piece. It's just a matter if you want like space on top. It's when people are in the shop, usually they ask, that's what I say, like, do you want it totally full with duffel, or your duffel totally full with packing cubes? Or I run 10 by 10s, so if I have 5 of them jam packed in there, there's still room for a jacket or
Yeah.
something on top. You know,
I do the same thing.
yeah,
Because especially when you fill them, they swell up to a little bigger than 10.
yeah. And we've got some 12x12s at the house, but and I've used those, but I normally run the 10x10s. So Neville, you can run the 12x12. You know, whether you've got the 4-inch or 2-inch, versions of those in the tour duffel with no issue. You just won't have as much room for like a lot of times like in the winter. I'll have like a puffer jacket or a fleece that
or a
I
rain jacket or something if I'm traveling.
that I throw on top of all my other stuff.
Yep.
So let's see. This one, Jason Speck, Mountain State Overland. I'm gonna throw this one Matt's way. Name one bag design that you've always wanted to make, but can't convince yourself to do it.
Like, I guess I'm not sure what that is. So,
I think you may be underestimating too that man. Sometimes Matt's just like, I want one of these. I mean,
that happens a
that's
lot.
the joy of owning a bag production shop. Like,
Yeah, that is one of the joys. One of many joys. I mean, I really want to make, I mean, I have been fighting with a backpack for 12 months.
yeah,
And
there's a lot of 4/5 of backpacks down there.
yeah, there are a lot of like partially assembled backpacks
Yeah,
in the shop and partially assembled parts to backpacks that I
Yeah.
was like, all right, scrap this.
and
Okay,
Logan and I
wait,
have a
maybe that
kick-ass
works.
idea for a photo shoot for this backpack. We just need him to get it done so we
Yeah.
can go to execute on this idea.
Yeah. Let's say it would include some full body suits for damage testing.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that would be fun. I might build it just for that, or I can give you a bunch of 4/5 of
Yeah.
the backpack.
Right, yeah.
Maybe that's the prototype testing. We see which one works the
Yeah.
best of the 4/5.
Well, the problem is they're not 4/5 enough to.
Yeah, I
blow
don't know if
up.
there's.
I don't
I
know.
don't know if I've seen one you could actually wear and hold stuff.
True statement. There's probably some that would hold stuff and some
That you
could
could
wear
wear.
parts, but none
That hold
do
stuff. Yeah.
run that hold stuff and you wear it. That
Yeah.
is a true statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually ordered some new hardware to play with that more again.
Yeah.
And I've been sidetracked on this tote organizer
Yeah.
chaos that seemed simple and apparently isn't as simple as I think it should be.
Yeah.
So I'm
But
not-
yeah, I guess the backpack because you've only ever done one backpack from Blue Ridge, right? The
just
Mount
a
Rogers.
simple, a little Mount Rogers backpack, and that was a nice little backpack.
Yeah, I've
for
still
just
got
having
a-
stuff. Yeah,
It's a little rucksack style, but with
Mm-hmm.
a double zipper down the front, so you can like it's top loader or open up the whole thing. And
yeah.
yeah.
This would be similar to that, just way more exciting,
Mm.
way more involved than that one.
Using some new hardware that we've since integrated into some other products.
things,
Yeah. Well.
yeah. Using some of the Fidlock, some of the magnetic hardware that's
Mm.
kind of been fun to work with.
And this would be, I mean, not that you can't with the Mount Rogers, but I think this is a little more performance, like, haul all your climbing gear, your caving gear, do some serious hiking, like things like that,
Yeah, a little bigger, a little more well-rounded, a little less. So originally the Mount Rogers I kind of put together because at the time Laurel was shooting like 22 matches in like it ranges outside of Nevada and stuff like that. So like I wanted something that when you're going into the hotel, it didn't look like you had a range bag.
Mhm.
Yeah, it worked well for that, but
Yeah.
it's just not. I mean, we didn't build a bunch of them. We didn't do a whole lot with it. Like I said, it sort of had a one purpose project, and once she outgrew that we haven't done much with a backpack since. And I've had a craving to build a backpack, and we're getting close.
Yeah. Let's see. No Camp Chef bags are coming up again. Sorry. There was that one. That was Cummins Crawler. As far as I know, we're not building any Camp Chef bags. Part of the problem is like Camp Chef just announced a new line of stoves, right? Where the sizes are different.
Another new line,
Right,
And
which they did
another
last year.
slightly different sizes.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah.
Whereas
That's
our partner stoves, bags that we build, partner hasn't changed the size of the stoves they built since they started building
1972,
stoves.
yeah.
Yeah.
or whatever.
And the size is in the name.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Yeah, and I mean, it's been years since you've done like the Camp Chef Everest bags, right? Longer than I've
Well,
been here.
it was when they phased out that size and
Yeah.
they changed them slightly, and then they came up with the grill one that was a little bit different sized,
No.
and it was like they started making enough different models
Mhm.
and enough different sizes that it was just hard to keep up with.
Let's see here. What else we got? Hot Tacoma. I don't know you, but your question made me laugh. Anybody want to take a stab at this? Why are all your products so damn awesome?
That's just, we leak awesomeness, I guess, and it
Yeah.
goes out onto the product occasionally.
Yeah. Well, that's the grossest way to say it.
Sweat awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's seeping out of our pores.
Oof.
I guess that's better than
Seep
other
and the
place.
leak are both not things I want to have on my bags.
Oh,
yeah.
Unless it's awesome.
I mean,
Well, but no, wait, we appreciate it. I think the whole idea is we're kind of doing what we love and making stuff we want to use, and we hope people find it's cool. So
Yeah.
That goes a
and
long way.
useful. Yeah, absolutely.
let's see. Last Instagram question: what product has been the biggest surprise success? Like, what did you not think would be?
Almost all of them.
Well, just alphabetical, chronological. How do you want to?
I mean, I just, I'm always, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm almost always surprised. Bum bags were a fairly big surprise to me. I don't know. I'm surprised a lot of times.
I feel like the totes were a surprise to
Totes were a really big surprise to me. Yeah, no, that's true. Totes were, and we go through quite a few totes. We sell them really, really regularly, and we have this new tote organizer extravaganza coming out.
you. About the time that this episode releases, the tote organizer
May be done.
will probably be the next week. It'll be next week. Yeah. So keep an eye out for the tote organizer.
The tote organizer.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Rick's not lying to you, but yeah,
We'll just delay the episode.
yeah. We
So-
might have to do that. The plan is this. That's another one where there's 4/5. There's actually one whole one. It just really sucks. Aesthetically is pretty poor.
It'll never come apart because parts of it are sewn like 4 times.
You're right.
but-
That's a true statement.
But it
never-
also looks like it's been sewn 4 times.
Yeah. No, it's an 8th grade craft project for
Yeah.
sure, and it's
Yeah.
good that it's hidden down inside my tote.
Yeah.
Then nobody can actually see how poorly the aesthetic value is of that bag.
Matt may have taken the old adage: if you can't tie a knot, tie a lot to the sewing construction of this.
I did. That's true.
Yeah, if you can't figure out how to sew it, just keep sewing it.
just keep putting more needle to thread, and somehow it'll
Yeah.
work out. Yes, that's exactly how this tote organizer came together.
Those are relatively new, and I mean, I know you said like practically everything. But any like kind of like back in the day, like what we may consider classic products
Oh,
now.
I mean, tool bags, stuff like that. I was always like surprised.
Yeah,
Like I legitimately always surprised.
yeah.
I mean, oil bags surprised me.
Mhm.
You know,
Those
tool
still
bags,
sell.
Yeah, they still sell. And again, it's especially earlier when we started, it was strictly just built for me. Like
Yeah,
I took no consideration into anybody else's ideas,
yeah.
any other use cases. I just was like, oh, I have this problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to build something
Here's a solution.
that solves that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've got oil all over the back of my XJ. Okay, I need a bag that contains my oil, keeps it together.
Yeah.
I don't lose it. I don't have to figure out how to keep it.
No.
I can keep it upright.
Right,
I can hook it to something like, it kind of checks all these boxes because it needed fluid on a regular basis
Yeah.
of some kind.
Yeah,
It always needed something.
yeah.
And tool bag was the same thing. Nobody was doing any tool organization that was,
Modular.
well, any soft tool organization was almost non-existent. I mean, you were talking, this is 15 years ago or
Yeah,
so.
that's true,
So
yeah.
you're talking like a Bucket Boss and some Lowe's tool bags, maybe.
Yeah,
It's kind of before everybody else was doing that stuff.
yeah,
And I just, you just didn't know whether that's
yeah.
something other people would be interested in. And, again, same thing. At that time I had a Jeep Cherokee that needed worked on a lot.
Needed oil.
And
Needed
need a
tools.
lot of tools.
Yeah.
And it was, it broke a lot in the woods.
Yeah,
So I started, geez, I'm losing screws and bolts and parts, and I need to figure out how to be able to do trail repair and maintain all the pieces that I took off and keep everything
Yeah.
and be able to find it. And anyway, that's been a staple in the product line ever since, and has
Yeah.
always
Yeah, I know.
sells well, and always is. We get a lot of really good feedback on that.
So before the next one,
Yeah.
my follow up for that one is what's something you thought was going to sell great
Ooh.
and did not do what you thought it was going to?
I probably have really low expectations, so I don't know that
All right.
I don't normally get I don't normally get too excited about an idea as far as like, thinking, oh my gosh, this is a win. I will say there's, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there's stuff that we've cut out of the product line that, I've thought, hey, this is a really slick idea. And I, nobody else did, or I didn't communicate it well.
Yeah.
But I can't think. I mean, I've had that feeling before. I just don't remember what those products were,
Yeah.
and I'm really good at not remembering the things that go wrong. Like I'm really good at that.
That's a talent. That's a really good question and a good segue for our next one, which, by the way, Fitz, thanks for being the first person to submit a question on Instagram. I do want to say the one about the surprise success, based on the profile picture, that person seems to be both intelligent, interesting in a social setting, and probably just an all-around good guy. It's Rick_Stowe. So,
I knew where this was headed. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
wasn't sure how I was going to land the plane. How's that?
yeah. So Fitz asks, how many customer suggested ideas have been put into production versus how many of them were bad ideas? And we talked about this because this question came in like as soon as we threw that up there. So I think for me, it's not that they're bad ideas; they're
Right.
just not marketable ideas.
Right.
Like, I mean, listen, nobody's perfect, so I'll word it the way I want to. I think a lot of the customer suggested ideas, the problem with them is like they're too hyper specific to their use case.
Yeah.
Perfect example. People be like, "Why don't you make an attic for my custom built 1991 bullshit?"
Yeah,
and it's
right.
like because there's three of them, and you've got one of them, and the other one's your parts truck. Like I get it. It would be cool to have an attic for that, but
Yeah. We run into a lot of that.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of very, very specific stuff.
And it's just it's
and,
not.
and specific stuff that honestly, I think people have it. And I think this is in all things that are made. I think because there's so many things done cheaply, mass production,
Yeah.
and done offshore, that it's like they just assume that making one shouldn't be that expensive.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, it's not. You mean
Right.
like, you it just takes a long time to make the first one.
Yeah.
And even if you have a really good idea what you're going to do,
Yeah.
you're still a couple iterations in, your hours of shop time.
Yeah.
It's not there's no 5 minute.
There's all those parts. It's like the guy that right after I started that showed up here one day, not a customer of ours, just like drove in from an hour or two away. Was like, oh yeah, I saw you guys, on like Google Maps. Looked you up. You make stuff. Make me a bag that I can keep the inflatable part of my like fly fishing raft on top of my truck. And we're like, we don't do that. Oh, what do you mean? He was just bamboozled. Like I remember standing down there in the parking area with him, and he was just like, oh, you can't. Was like, no, not really. I mean, we have the technology, but like we can't halt production. We can't burn through, like that would have been all vinyl. That would have been some expensive prototyping.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, honestly, it'll be really expensive. Like you can for sure go somewhere else and find a solution. Like
Yeah, you can find a bag that will fit that will be way
yeah.
cheaper.
I mean, like
Yeah.
I hate to be that guy, but like an Amazon like soft top like cargo carrier,
Right.
like would work.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, the downfall to that is the reality is the one is going to be more expensive than the boat that he's putting in.
right. Yeah.
And that's what kills you is it's like, if we can figure out over the course of a year how to sell 50 of trail creepers, we can figure out over the course of a year how to sell 50 or 70 or 100 or 200.
Right.
Okay, then you can kind of amortize your development time into the product, and it's $1, $2, $3 per unit is what's in that. And okay, life's good. You can kind of justify that when you get ideas. It's when it's the use case where it's that, and like who else
Yeah.
do I sell it to? Because most people are buying a car top carrier for that. That's
Right.
Chinesium,
And we appreciate that he wants it. I mean,
right. No, I mean
Yeah.
I love the idea, and I, if I own the boat, I'd probably make it myself. But that's what's difficult. Is it something that has enough appeal that we can sell it?
yeah.
Sell it to more people, and we get a lot of really neat ideas that just
Yeah.
it's economically it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean-
you're about to have a $400 or $500 bag, to that
Yeah.
shouldn't be if it were mass produced. But like I said, I think people, because they see something that's been, like I said, that's built overseas and it's built inexpensively, and they build a lot of them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like all of a sudden it's cheap. And I run into this stuff like, I was my daughter, right? So we were talking about a part that was for a scope, and it's like $85, and she's like, "Holy crap! I can't believe that thing's $85." And I'm like, her fiance, soon to be husband, is a machinist, and I'm like, okay, how long would it take Josh to make this? I mean, he can make it.
Mm-hmm.
How many hours would it take him to make this?
Right.
And it's a lot. I'm like,
how many hours before even from the machine standpoint, before he even hits the go button?
Right. No, that's
right?
what I mean.
Yeah.
Right. It would take a crap load of hours. So
Yeah.
for somebody to make you one,
Yeah.
now they've obviously got the math figured out and they're selling them whatever. But like when I look at it and I see $85, I'm like, holy crap, it's almost free.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
had somebody put $5,000, $10,000 into figuring this thing out,
Yeah.
getting all the math figured out to build it, and now is able to sell it to you for $85.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
holy crap. And they're building them in Texas, and like,
Yeah.
it's super smart. And I'm like, $85 seems like a great deal.
So the next one, speaking of handsome, talented individuals, is from our dear friend who has abandoned us for the life out west, Jeremy. He actually stacked a few questions here. So one that we've kind of hit before, but we can kind of go back through it. I think we had like a whole episode dedicated to this. Was bucket list destination, domestic or global, that you haven't been to yet?
If I can recap, I think at least Rick and I, maybe Matt said Alaska.
Yeah, so Alaska is mine. I want to do like a legit.
It was
like,
at least on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean like get there and then really spend some time.
Yeah, Alaska would make
I think
my list.
eventually I
I'm
may
not-
just like fly to the PNW somewhere, buy a truck, and then drive it up there, or a van, or a yeah.
I have no idea, but I do. Alaska is on my list. What's Banff was on my list, and then I talked to a friend who went there who travels a fair bit, and they were like really disappointed in
Oh really?
it being like super touristed. And now they might have been there at a bad time,
Yeah.
but they were like, yeah, it wasn't like we were really expecting,
Mm.
sort of the U.S. Rockies and it being
Right.
really, and they were pretty bummed out about.
Because it's like the northern Rockies.
Right.
Yeah.
But they just said it was just like super, like it was super crowded and didn't particularly enjoy it. And we're like, there's a lot of places we'd rather go in the U.S. So Banff still may be on my list,
Yeah.
but it might not be quite as high as I thought it was.
Yeah.
For sure, Alaska makes my list. Mom and Dad have been there 2 or 3 times, and
Yeah.
I have not. Other than that, there are very few places that I haven't just gone to when I've had the whim.
Mm.
I mean, there's a couple national parks, California-wise, that I'd like to go to. I mean, I'd like to see El Cap and some of that stuff, just to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah.
But they're again not. If my life ends tomorrow, I'm not that cranked up about them.
You probably have way bigger fish to fry than not getting to El Cap if your life ends tomorrow.
I mean, I'm just saying, if it's probably on the list of places I'd be interested if I can work it out.
Yeah.
Alaska would be a high priority.
Yeah.
I have some interest in Africa, maybe, but not a ton.
Yeah.
A safari, like internationally doing a safari in Africa. Like
We have some friends there, that own big game preserves in South Africa and stuff. So
Yeah.
I've had kind of an invitation to go that direction and
Yeah.
That's Lindsay and I both.
see what that looks like.
That's one that like the two of us together every once in a while when we talk about places, like that's something we got to do.
So the thing that I think is hard, at least on South Africa, is that it is really a crisis different times. Like it's like just a like place you don't want to be different times throughout history. Recent history. Like
Yeah.
there's just chaos one year, and you're not. I mean, I don't necessarily understand how or when the chaos breaks out, and
Yeah.
having friends there, and knowing people that have gone and shot matches and stuff there, because they host some big matches there. Basically, we're like, we hired armed security from the airport to the wherever, and then we were okay, but you still have to, it's like, logistically, that sounds like low fun.
Yeah.
There are some other countries in Africa that I have some interest in.
We've
that
got
would
some
be-
friends that have done pretty extensive travel in Africa, like
Yeah.
from Central down into South Africa, and that would probably be an international for me. But honestly, off the cuff, I don't even know like what I'd hone in on. And then a big one for us is Japan. Like between the food, the craftsmanship, the fly fishing, the soft goods, like there's some really cool, like small brands over there.
Yeah.
I could spend a lot of time in Japan just kind of like checking things off the list. So
Japan is worth doing.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's interesting. Yeah, it doesn't make it does never even
because
cross my mind.
I guess for me, like, I want to see Tokyo, kind of like what you said, but like, I do not need a ton of time in Tokyo.
Yeah.
I want to be like heading to some of the northern islands, and like where there's some pretty serious mountains and some really good fishing, and I want to be, like
We did Tokyo South, my brother-in-law and I, and I do want to go back and do the mountains, that region, but even all the South, and not even, we went all the way down, but even like Kyoto, I can see someone saying it's overhyped, but I got there and was like, no, this is crazy. I mean, just like the temples and the history.
right, yeah.
It is a little touristy in a way,
Yeah.
but also
I think
it's
that's
just crazy
one of
stuff
the
to
reasons
see.
I would like to go north, like even some of the other islands where it's like super mountainous. There's some like amazing fly fishing there.
So my problem is like there are things I want to do,
Yeah.
and there are places I want to do them that I think would be interesting. Like I have a friend that is in Sweden who hunts kind of go to ground dogs and stuff like that, and I really have like. I want to go see that. That would be really interesting to me.
Yeah.
But Sweden isn't like a bucket list thing. But going to visit him and
I guess for me, Japan is, and for Brand as well, because it's so condensed, right? Like, we're white foodies. Like, there's the food scene, the history there is pretty wild. The fly fishing side of things really intrigue me. Like even like gear, there's some like really interesting, like in terms of like cottage brands, stuff like that. In general, just the history. So yeah. Plus, I'm totally gonna just like get a current model year Suzuki Jimny and figure out how to smuggle it back.
yeah,
So
I get that.
yeah.
Also, you can go to 7-Eleven and get all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
I have breakfast most mornings at 7-Eleven in Japan.
Really,
Yeah.
I don't even like. What do they have at what's breakfast?
It's just totally...
The other thing is like I'm not a food guy. Like
that's the reason I want to go most places is for the food.
Yeah. No, and for there, because I mean,
I just really want to bring my food with me and go places. Cause
Yeah.
See, that makes me sad.
no.
When I was in Nepal, I forget what trip that was on, but I remember going and I was with a group and everybody else with the group was pretty timid and not wanting to try whatever, trying to order safe. And I just remember pointing at the guy who was like guiding us, and be like, I'm just gonna order whatever you have.
Right,
Just tell them I want whatever you're having. And he was like, are you sure? I was like, yes.
That's only
I'm
bit
sure.
me in the ass once.
Yeah.
And we were in Belize, and our guide, and it was 9 million degrees and 9 million% humidity. And I had been ordering what he ordered. And we sat down at a restaurant, and he ordered, and I didn't even think, I'll have that. And they brought out the hottest steaming bowl of chicken soup I've ever had. And I looked at him and was like, are we just not sweating enough?
Yeah.
I just don't particularly like the taste of a lot of things, and I'm usually hungry. It takes a lot to keep all this going. You know what I mean? Like,
I saw something really funny online that's pertinent to this conversation. It said every year Mongolia issues like a certain time of year like a warning like don't eat the marmots, the groundhogs, and somebody eats the marmots and they get the black plague. So if you're traveling to Mongolia, do not eat the marmots. Like,
don't eat them.
That's a slightly different type of risk.
Yeah. Well, that's not a risk I'd want to take. But I mean, I might eat groundhog. I'm not.
I mean, that's
would scare me much less.
just a marmot that lives at your house.
Yeah.
Whistle pig.
Yeah. Okay. What do we
Anyway.
have? Did Jeremy have another one?
Yeah, he had a couple more. Let's see. The one thing you've learned the hard way on a trip that has stuck with you to this day. I'll call mine. Don't help idiots that got themselves, like if they're not in mortal danger, let them suffer. It was never worth it again.
It was never worth it again.
Yeah.
Say this again? What's the?
What is a lesson you learned the hard way on a trip that stuck with you to this day? And if you've not heard this story, I know I beat this drum. One of my best friends had said it best. We should have just shot them. These idiots had got into a play area on a trail in vehicles they had no business in. As it was raining at midnight, walked back into our camp. It was like, we need help. And we should have been like, don't we all? And it was like a 4-hour ordeal where my truck got stuck, actually took some damage. couldn't get it finally, and they quit helping. So then at that point, it's just us trying to extricate my truck, and finally walked back to camp. The next day, some other people come up the trail, pulled me out, and they were like, just it was awful. So now I'm a little bit more like, hey, you want to call for help? You want to ride out to the end of the road? I'm just not getting myself into the true shit of it for the sake of some, idiot who, for the 1,000th time, was like, I've got a chain. I'm going to beat you with it if you say that one more time. Like,
I've got a chain.
yeah. So,
Oh, yeah. So glad you brought a chain. Most of my realization stuff has come from being cold.
yeah.
Where I've just been like, oh, I did not bring enough stuff, or
Yeah.
I missed, I just mistargeted the weather. I
Right.
just,
Yeah.
my expectations for the weather.
We've been there.
Right. No, that's one of the times.
Memorial
I'm thinking
Day
of.
in
Yeah,
the mountains,
right.
the White Mountains,
Right.
was
we're
way colder than I thought it would be.
Yeah, mistiming the weather has been my biggest thing, and just making sure I'm over.
We need to put some stuff in this thing. It slides really easy.
Yeah, make sure that I'm kind of over committed to the cold
Yeah.
side, because there's been a few times I've been really flipping cold before.
Yeah.
And please let the sun come up kind of cold.
Right, and that just compounds problems because you don't sleep well, and then you make
and
dumb
then
mistakes.
The next day,
yeah. So.
So that's probably and that's happened to me. I don't know that I've learned from it. Again, my short-term memory, my my forgetting bad things.
Pros and cons.
So yeah, pros and cons to that, because that's happened to me more than once.
Yeah.
I think mine is an obvious one for everyone, but I remember the trip that I thought I'm never not having a water filter again.
Oh,
That was a lesson.
yeah,
Throwing up bile behind
yeah.
a shelter on the AT was not a.
I've never got, but I had a buddy that did, and it was not actually that. It hit him once he got home, and he had like a month-long ordeal of like, what is wrong with me? So I learned that lesson secondhand. But yeah, I guess too, over the course of 10 years, we've got really fortunate, right? Because it used to be like an MSR pump filter.
Yeah.
Was kind of the gold standard, but like
Yeah.
they would clog up or they would vacuum lock or whatever.
There's just no reason. Like now, I have a Sawyer squeeze that just lives there. There's just no reason not to take that with me.
I mean, honestly, a lot of times I just keep a new Sawyer Mini in my truck because if it's not wet, you don't have to worry about the freeze. And then like a grill, and I tell people like, just like you're talking about international travel, like take a grill. It's not just like bacteria, but it's viruses, heavy metals, like that thing. So if you're worried about drinking the water, if there's anything in their water that thing can't handle, you got way bigger problems. So
Yeah. No, that's for sure.
but yeah, no. So you got bad water and it just hit you fast.
No, I got dehydrated
Oh,
because the only water we came across was like, I'm not going to drink this kind of water, and it was a short day, but it was just really hot. We all got really dehydrated. In hindsight, maybe I'd take the risk and drink some of it.
Yeah.
Now, but at the time, I was like, this is swampy and green, and I don't think I want to risk that.
I've never had that backpacking, but now on some solo bike rides, I have had that like all day long Saturday rides going somewhere new, only to realize that like all the streams are straight off the side of the hill. So
Yeah, that was the problem. There was a marked water spot, but it was hot, so we got extra dehydrated, and then that was mostly dried out. So it was just like
a puddle.
the puddle of swamp water.
Yeah, no, dehydration or heat exhaustion will get you, and that is not a lesson you soon forget.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any?
All right,
other
one last one.
One last one.
Go be recon.
Oh, jeez.
And I actually had remembered, or I had thought, man, I need to come up with something good for this, and then I didn't. If you guys had CB handle names, what would they be?
I have no idea. I don't even have a good guess.
I mean, you did you in your older rigs, you never had a CB?
I've always had a CB.
You just didn't have
No.
a handle,
No.
which that's a term for a CB name, isn't your handle? What's your handle?
Yeah, I get nothing.
I tried to think of something clever. I got nothing.
So the problem is, when I was a kid, I had a great one because my dad, when I was really little, delivered campers from like Pennsylvania down into like Texas and stuff. So he was, he actually had like the whole CB license. Yeah.
Sure.
And I had something as a kid that was like based off his, and I've talked to him several times since this question came in and have not remembered. I remember that like a full grown bear is a state trooper. There's something else about like little cub is like a local cop. Like I know all the like vernacular for that stuff, but I can't remember what Dad's handle was. Yeah.
Maybe we should ask the audience to tell us what our CV handle should
No,
Yeah,
I don't trust them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't have any good ideas. And there's all kinds of stuff like the coop and which should be a weight station. And
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in the convoy era, so
Yeah. Nat, something you need to know about Nat. He has like his taste in music. He's got plenty of new stuff. We're on a really long drive. Like you get pretty deep in his playlist. There's like this whole album that's just like ballads about like trucking accidents. Like
C.W. McCall.
Yeah.
C.W. McCall, Black Bear Pass.
Yeah, like talk about like
Yeah.
he's trying to count the power the light poles to estimate.
Oh, that's Wolf Creek Pass.
Yeah, Wolf Creek. See,
Yeah, Wolf Creek Pass. That's
Yeah.
a great song.
and like the brakes had went out, right? Or something?
Yeah. And he crashes into the post office downtown Pagosa Springs.
See,
Yeah. Well, you should play that song as you're going over the pass in Colorado.
there you go. Yeah,
But I think previous to 70 is when that song was written, so that's pretty funny. But Black Bear Road, Wolf Creek Pass,
no,
the song Convoy. Yes, no, 100%. I have.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a. I have a
That's a
collection
subgenre of a subgenre.
right. I never knew
uh,
that like trucker accident ballads was a thing.
Yeah.
But at some point was riding with Matt and was like, what is he talking
Yeah,
about?
Phantom 409. There's some great.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
Phantom
Phantom 409.
Huh?
I know Phantom 409.
Okay, yeah.
I think that was my dad probably has played that for me.
Same
at some
era.
point.
Would
Yeah.
have been the same era as the Convoy C.W. McCall era.
Yeah. So
Yeah. No, there's all kinds of.
So
there's-
Gobi, I don't know,
it's,
man.
It's better than yacht rock. So I mean,
yeah.
Depends on where you're at and what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have to come up with something for the CB handle. Yeah. So
I think we're hosed on that one. I
Yeah.
don't have any good ideas.
I mean, not in the moment. Yeah. So, well, hey, I think that will do it for the questions, and we need a discount code. I've been sitting here pondering. So we're gonna do killing off the last one. Thanks for I think we had like 6 folks use the one before. I haven't checked on the pheasant discount code, but let's do expedition. All one word, all capital letters. We're going to add an exclamation point because we have a fiction book over here that Logan and his wife Lindsay found when they were doing our set dressing that's just called Expedition. So,
And we know nothing about it.
yep, haven't cracked
Very
it.
little.
Yeah. So Expedition's the discount code from
I was just thinking Gobies should be the rubber duck.
the rubber duck for
Yeah.
the, yep.
Yeah,
Good reason.
it should be the rubber duck. I mean, in honor of Convoy because the rubber duck was
Yeah.
part of that. And I mean,
Yeah.
he has a Jeep and he should have ducks.
Yep.
So let me help you out with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Josh, we've now given you a CB handle.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Based on my vehicle and then what my father-in-law recently purchased that I'm hoping to inherit one day, maybe I need something involving bow tie. I plan to be in a Chevy for a while now.
What did he just get?
That 80 Suburban.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hearst ambulance something.
It's awesome.
We don't
It
know
is
what
awesome.
it was.
All right,
It
is
started
awesome.
its life as either taking people to the hospital or from the funeral home.
Rick
but
said that he was going to take the vinyl off. I was like, why? It's
It's
amazing.
the Friends logo across the back that makes it so
And a giant
There's-
polka dotted bow tie on the front.
right.
Yeah.
Such a weird Mickey
And
Mouse
from the doors down, a 57 Chevy vinyl wrap. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot
that
going
part
on.
I'm definitely here for. The 57 Chevy.
I,
vinyl,
like
I
even-
can get behind that, but the Friends logo across the back is weird, and the
Yeah.
Minnie Mouse bow tie
Yeah,
on the
no,
front
there's a lot.
is a really.
I'm
strange.
assuming all that, knowing him, has been taken care of already because he got it on Tuesday and this is the next Wednesday. Like,
Oh.
he's for sure has, remedied some of that. Yeah.
climbing in and out of that would be tough. It's full caged, right?
Front caged.
Oh, just front.
Well, it doesn't have a back seat because it was, again, an ambulance or a hearse or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, the front is caged and has 6-point harness, vinyl, or not vinyl, suede, seats,
Yeah.
inserts.
Yeah.
He's going to remedy a lot of that stuff. But it's it's a 1980 Suburban with a camper build in the back, high top,
Yeah.
on a 6-inch lift, it's,
Yeah, with a 5 something in it.
yeah.
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember either. It's, winch, bull bar.
It looks a little bit like something that was someone's dream vehicle when they were 13, and then
Yeah.
they finally it looks like they referenced a sketch that they had drawn when they were
Yeah,
13
yeah.
for every style decision made on it. Like they went back through their notebooks and they're like, I can do that now. It's a bad idea, but I can.
Right, yeah. I have a lot of questions about the 13-year-old and the 57 Chevy Wrap.
I don't know. It would have been the perfect truck for Ricky Dale Jr. I'm just
Yeah. No. But I'm hoping that stays in the family. It's pretty, once it's a little less.
I don't even know what a fied it is, but
No,
it's
I
been a
feel like he
fied.
like went into the vinyl shop. It's like, what do you have? And they're like, what do you mean? What do you have ready right now? Well, we've got a full body wrap that looks like a 57 Chevy. I'll take it. We have this 3-foot wide bow tie. I want that as well. And this friend's look, put it on the back. It was like, yeah.
Let's also be clear, because saying bow tie on a Chevy could make some kind of sense. It's not that.
No, it's a
it's-
actual bow tie.
Yes.
No, it's a Minnie Mouse
Mouse bow.
bow.
Right,
Yeah, Minnie
no.
Mouse bow,
Yeah.
like something that Minnie Mouse would wear.
Yeah. Now, we'll say, Logan and I were talking, it could be an awesome off-road Ghostbusters vehicle. It just kind of looks like if the Ghostbusters needed to go bogging
Which
and then bust a
teaser,
ghost.
we've got some plans for October.
Yeah, we do.
We're gonna go bogging with the Ghostbusters. How's that work?
No, I told you, we're going to go ghost hunting.
Yeah. So, but maybe we'll get my father-in-law's new rig once he has some time to de-whateverify it. Maybe we'll get it. God, I don't know if he could ever drive it here. It would cost $500 to drive that up here.
It's got to get a solid 3.5 mile a gallon.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I may
Yes.
have to film that while I'm down there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really a neat truck.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we're gonna wrap it up, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks.